Hello, hi, and welcome back to the Thanks for Reading podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Astro. For those who are new here and don't know how things work, or for those who are returning listeners and do know how things work, you know that there is normally two of us that host. But today, my other host, Mars, is not with me due to the fact that they hate me. They said it themselves. They said, I'm quitting the podcast and everything else, and I hate this person. Um, no, I'm just I'm just kidding. Sorry. He'll probably gonna get me for that. But nah. We're just introducing a new segment on our podcast called Spotlight. And this segment is going to be individually hosted by us. We're gonna have talks of, whatever garners our attention that week, pop culture moments, current events, things of that nature and stuff like that. So I've had the glorious privilege of being the first to do this segment. So please buckle up, grab some popcorn, grab some candy, grab some carrots or whatever have you, and let's get into this because we actually have a lot to go over and I want to get through it as not as quickly as possible, but so this isn't as long as it probably going to take to edit. So typically for these, we are going to have a standard three topics, but today I wanted to talk about four. It's our first one, and plus, there are four things that I just want to talk about personally. Now, the first thing I do want to talk about does involve the mention of SA and sexual harassment. And if you are somebody who's very sensitive to that, I advise you to click off and go to another video, maybe listen to something else we got going on, or skip ahead in this video or podcast recording. Now, if you couldn't tell by that, trigger warning, what we're going to talk about first is DoorDash Girl. Now, this is something that started on TikTok, and I'm going to explain how I stumbled upon it because it's kind of, I feel kind of stupid. So, um, basically, what happened was how I stumbled upon it is that I was scrolling through TikTok. It was either TikTok or YouTube Shorts. It was one of those that I was scrolling through, and I ran across this video of a girl. She had like red hair or whatever, and she was frustratingly talking into the camera, screaming into the camera that DoorDash had suspended her account due to her reporting an essay that happened to her. Now, in my mind's eye, I was like, yeah, that sounds about corporatey. Corporations have a habit of throwing things like that under the rug and making sure that the person who's the victims, if primarily it is a woman who is a victim, is ostracized due to them just speaking out. So I'm just like, that doesn't surprise me. And it was a customer, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, whatever. Obviously it was a customer of DoorDash. But she was explaining in a video how they spent her account because of that, and so I was like, I really hope she gets the justice she deserves, right? I moved forward, and it wasn't until a day later I saw another video of a guy talking about a DoorDash girl who was lying. I was like, who lying? Who spent all those? Listen, I did not know that the person that was screaming to the camera that I saw a day ago and who he was talking about was the same person. Did not know that for nothing. Slow moment, okay? It wasn't until like I want to say a day or so later, not even like maybe a few hours or a day or so later, that I figured out that both of them was the same person, and I was like, oh, okay, there's something going on here. So then I had to do some digging because I just don't believe people on the internet anymore. Like y'all can make mountains out of molehills and pull stories out of your asses. I'm not of that business, okay? So this is what I gathered from TikTok. From people reporting it and everything. So basically what happened was that this girl, she was delivering DoorDash, and she comes to this house, and in the notes of the house, I'm pretty sure it said something along the lines of please leave food in front of door or whatever. So obviously as a DoorDash driver or a Uber driver, whatever have you, if you're delivering food, you follow the instructions. So she's stepping up to the door, where the patio or the porch is, whatever, and she sees that the door is wide open, right? You can see kind of the door being wide open from her stepping up. She, at least that's what was allegedly being reported. She walks up to the door, and inside the door, did not even have to look that hard or long. You can see this man sitting on his couch from the waist down naked, with his thing out and everything else like that. And he's sitting there on his couch, quote unquote sleeping. Um and she obviously becomes distraught because the last thing that you suspected from delivering DoorDash is to see someone naked on their couch, half naked on their couch, with their door wide open, mind you. Knowing that you're having a DoorDash delivery is kind of like why it leads me to believe, it leads me at least to believe that this was done on purpose, right? So she starts recording. She records the man on his couch, quote unquote sleeping. I'm pretty sure he wasn't, but she records the man on his couch, and then she walks away from the door and stuff like that. So then she goes to the police. The police said, I believe she goes to the police. I should say this was what was reported, at least. She goes to the police, and the police obviously does nothing because the police never does nothing in cases like this. They have to wait till you're heavily injured or dead in order to actually do something. And then she went to DoorDash because if the police did nothing. She went to the company, and the company also said that there was nothing that they can do. And pretty much, I'm pretty sure it was like the only thing they can do is make sure that this customer doesn't shop with them again. So now, without an option, she kind of goes to posting the video of this man on his couch half naked and stuff like that. And then she posts the video afterwards, after that video, and that's the one that I saw with her screaming into the phone, frustratingly, mind you, very, very frustratingly, and she has every right to be frustrated, about DoorDash suspending her account, right? Now, for the most part, when it was first initially brought to people's attention, people were on her side, right? People were just like, "That's a shitty situation to find yourself in," or "That's a crappy thing to have done to you," whatever. Like that's kind of traumatizing. Like, why would someone do that and stuff like that? I don't know what happened within the 24 hours that that was reported or anything else like that, or at least a few days after it was reported. Keep in mind, um I was not there in real time. I was there in after real time. That's why I saw the video of the guy saying she lying before I saw that there was a whole other thing that was going on, whatever. Um so it eventually turned into her being a liar, her pushing open the door, that the door was slightly ajar, that she had no right recording someone in their own home. It became a whole lot of bro. And there's a lot of things to unpack here because this is not the first time that someone's come forward that's something distraughting, such as sexual harassment or assault or stuff like that have been nitpicked or have been thought of to be liars or whatever. In fact, it's very reminiscent of what happened with Megan Thee Stallion when it came to Tory Lanez. How she There was insurmountable evidence that this man shot her, and people have been twisting their backs ever since to say that she lying and that she put a man in jail for nothing, even though the state of California was the one that put that man in jail. Like, it happens time and time again, clockwork without fail, right? So this is just another person in the latest lineup of people who eventually just turn on them and say that they are lying and that, um everything that they say is a lie, whatever have you. Because now that the tides are turning, I've seen people in the comment section say, but she recorded him in his house though. And while I understand that that is an invasion of privacy, I raise you that his door was wide open. Your privacy was invaded by whoever was going to walk up at that door that day. And it just so happened to be her because she ordered the DoorDash, whatever. I mean, he ordered the DoorDash. You ordered the DoorDash, whatever. So the thing is, right? They're still nitpicking her and saying that she used sexual assault instead of harassment. And another thing that people have been doing was cropping her original video of her recording the man on his couch and making it seem like she pushed open the door or whatever, even though the cropped image looks nothing like the original video, mind you, and the caption that she had on the video is also cropped in it. It's like these people are trying everything within their power to discredit her and blame her for what she saw. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you want to argue semantics about, whether she said SA instead of SH and, indecent exposure. Doesn't matter. This man still indecently exposed himself to somebody, and that should still be handled with penalties. I don't understand why people do this all the time, like, especially when it comes to women and speaking about their experiences with men like this. So, you know, since then I don't really know about what's going to happen now or anything else like that. I do know that there are some people that did have concerns about her recording because it could lead to him suing her for porn, or what is it called, revenge porn or whatever. um but for the most part, I don't know what's going to happen with this. I do want to know your thoughts though. As you can see, my thoughts is I obviously fully believe her because I just don't put it past someone in doing something like this. Yeah. So, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is this knitting drama. I wasn't expecting this to be a thing. If you asked me in 2025 what was going to be the top of the list of dramas or things that happened, this wasn't, none of these were, but this especially wasn't. So, if you guys don't know what happened with knitting drama, right? I'm gonna tell you how I stumbled upon it. These are mostly in these are gonna start off how I found these, right? I found this because I am a crocheter. For those who don't know, I do crochet. I crochet a lot. And I sometimes watch people crochet, and I sometimes get patterns and, follow videos along and stuff like that, because I've been crocheting for about 2-3 years now, and I made some pieces but not all pieces, whatever. So sometimes I do like to watch people crochet, and sometimes I do like to follow along and create my own things here, right? So there was a channel by the name of Lucy Liang who I saw on, I don't follow them regularly, I should say. I don't follow them regularly. But I did see their videos, and normally on their channel they do crochet videos, right? But this video was about it was titled, actually, Sideshow deleted the knitting video. And I sat there and I was like, what? So basically, from what I gathered from the two videos that I watched, this channel called Sideshow that was co-founded by Hank Green. If you don't know who Hank Green is, Hank Green is a guy who's more so of a science interpreter on the internet. Like, basically, he took scientific things and he broke it down for people to understand, right? And he had this show called Crash Course, while his brother did a crash course, like a history crash course type thing. Um, but yeah, he had the show called Crash Course where he talked about science. He co-founded this channel called Sideshow, and on the channel they talk about scientific things and stuff like that. In fact, his videos are used in classes and stuff like that. I keep saying stuff like that, but his videos are used in classes because they make science easier to understand for people who do not understand really the complexities, I should say, of science. But anyway, in this particular video, Hank Green was the host, because they sometimes switch out hosts, but he was the host and he was explaining, I guess, the science of knitting, or how knitting is a science. I think it was the science of knitting of knitting. And in the video, I didn't have the privilege to watch it because they since took the video down. Like, I couldn't watch the original one, but I did, in the video by Lucy Lang, she did include somebody who watched the entire video and reacted to it, and their name is Kristen Vick. And in their video, they discuss how there is misinformation in the Sideshow video. Mind you, this is a scientific channel. They did do some history breakdown of what knitting is.
One of the oldest knit objects in the world is a sock that's about 800 years old.
Oh yeah, the incredible 12th century cotton sock from Egypt. It is a gorgeous display of technology and exquisite craftsmanship.
It was a simple thing, a pattern of knots in the shape of a cylinder with a bend toward the end for the heel.
Wait, simple? Knots? Hank, are you talking about the null-bound socks from Egypt from around the 3rd to 5th century? Those aren't knitted. They are made with a different yarn manipulation technique called null binding that uses a single needle to make knots that eventually make up a fabric. And yes, null binding makes knots, but knitting and to some extent crochet makes loops and can be unraveled. A knot cannot. Still amazing craftsmanship though. Look at how tiny those stitches are.
And how there is misogynistic undertones in the video. Now, upon watching Kristen Vick's video and reacting with them, I do personally agree that there is misogynistic undertone because of the word choices that they use. Okay, it also does a job with trivializing knitting as something that's like almost like easy to learn, easy to know, um ignoring the fact that it is actually not as easy as people would say, because there are people who learn knitting in their adult years that struggle with knitting. Like, I have yet to pick up knitting because I can tell that it's very complicated, and I'm just not in the headspace to do anything complicated right now. They have quotes such as, but even though centuries of knitters figured out how to make all sorts of patterns through trial and error, how it all works was mostly a mystery. I mean, why do certain patterns of knits and purls create folds and zigzags and rolls? The answer lies in physics, right? Now, at first glance, you're probably like, oh, yeah, no, that makes total sense. But it kind of underestimates the predominantly, mind you, the predominantly women who took up the craft, who know the craft, and doesn't seem to know how it works. Like, what? And this one quote really gets me, right? And it says, now for centuries, knitting was more of an art than a science, but then the physicists showed up.
The biggest issue in this video is this implicitly gender dichotomy the video draws between fiber arts and science. Knitting is just like a fun little hobby, and they don't really know why they're doing it. They just do it and it works, and it's ancient, it's outdated. Meanwhile, physics is a science, it's smart, it's helpful, and science is gonna add reason to this silly little hobby. When in reality, knitting is science. The two are very much intertwined. And polarizing the two, regardless of this gender association, draws this hierarchy between art and science, which was just completely unnecessary. The goofiest thing has got to be the decoding patterns.
By decoding the patterns of stitches that create different shapes, they can figure out how to knit all kinds of complex 3D fabric.
As if the knitters who wrote those patterns didn't know what the stitches do. Like, they just had like a little rat under their hat, like pulling their hair, and oh my god, like the pattern's writing itself.
Now, I understand at first glance, this doesn't seem like an issue, but crafts such as knitting, crocheting, sewing are more so thought of as a woman's thing to do, right? For centuries, it's been thought of as just predominantly women doing these things. And we all know women can be scientists, right? We all know anyone can pick up a needle and a hook and maybe learn a thing or two, struggle a bit, but learn a thing or two about knitting and crocheting and sewing. We all know that people can do eventually that, right? But historically, again, these crafts have been predominantly done by women, and science has been predominantly done by men, and this is largely due to misogyny. I mean, even today, men who do know how to knit and crochet doesn't want to say they know how to knit and crochet because of the feminine undertones that entails, right? Or like even back then, when women were the scientists in the room, they weren't allowed to put their names on certain things or was given proper credit for their discoveries. One person that comes to mind for that was Rosalind Franklin. She was responsible for taking a clear image of an X-ray of the DNA, and it was showing that the DNA has a double helix and stuff like that. So things like that have been plaguing history and are even our present day till this day. Phrases like women should belong in the kitchen and with the kids is misogynistic in nature, and that includes these crafts. I know that it seems like a reach to some people, but inevitably not, because of these undertones in the video. It made it seem like knitting was just something frivolous. It sounded like that he was saying for centuries women had no idea the science behind what they were doing, and they were just lottie dying it. And it wasn't until us big strong men who with big brains and logic came in and said, yeah, this is how you're doing it and this is why it's happening. Like, no. It does ignite a subconscious gender stereotype, and it does seem again to trivialize the craft. um so again, it's just a verbiage used and stuff like that, making it seem like women didn't know what they were doing, in particular, making it seem like it was such a trivial thing and diminishing it. As someone said in Kristen's comments, I believe they said like, it's craft when women do it, and it's technology when men do it. So I tend to agree with that, and I tend to agree with their choice to take it down, especially since after the first time, they still kept the video up for a minute. I think it was like maybe a week or so. Um, they had someone who is a knitter and a scientist in the comment section. Her name was Jess. Talk about how she is a knitter and a commenter, a knitter and a scientist and stuff like that, and and try to de-escalate the situation, but it only made it worse. So again, they since took the video down. They issued an apology, and they said that they weren't going to make another, like basically another video like that. But I highly recommend Kristen's video if you want to watch it in full, watch it, watch all the misinformation that's been put. She also recommended a book that people check out if you're interested, called The Golden Thread by Cassia St. Clair, and that talks about how knitting shaped history and science, and it's apparently a really good book. I am inclined to take Kristen's word for it. And I also highly recommend Lucy Liang if you are a crocheter or if you're just interested in this stuff. Um, they had interesting takes on the video, and you can see in their real time the video being taken down and stuff like that, because in the midst of them editing the video was taken down, and then they had to come in and pop in and talk about, like, say, oh yeah, the video's down now. Ultimately, I don't think they really meant any harm by what they're saying, but people do have to understand that words have meaning, and it doesn't matter your intention. They still can invoke these biases and these thoughts. Like, I don't think there was really any malicious intent, but again, intent doesn't matter when the outcome is still malicious, I should say. All right, on to the next one. The next two I want to talk to is about musicians. The first one I want to talk about is Tyler the Creator. I don't know why I'm laughing because I feel like this is a lot. Like, oh my god, so much happened with this one. This started, I believe, on Instagram, and it from Instagram went to Twitter, and from Twitter it went to my retinas. Now, I don't have Twitter, so I watched everyone else react to it and talk about it, and I just have to say, what? But basically, right, what happened was Tyler the Creator, right, took to his Instagram and he wrote a tribute about D'Angelo. Now, if you don't know who D'Angelo is, he is an American singer-songwriter. He plays multiple instruments. He's very influential in the community and stuff like that. He died actually October 14th, and I believe it was of pancreatic cancer. And at the time, he was only 51, so rest in peace to him. But yeah, Tyler the Creator took to Instagram and did like a tribute and talked about how his music inspired him, and uplifted him and stuff like that. This led to his comic section basically saying how much they don't care about this man, how Black lives don't matter, egregious stuff. And these are all palm colors and edge lords and whatever. That's important, right? So then after that, Tyler the Creator, I believe it was either the next day or the same day or whatever, he likes to tweet. And this tweet reads, Tyler's fan base hates black music despite Tyler himself having a very deep love and appreciation for it. Nigga has Charlie Wilson, Erica Badu, DJ Drama, etc. Collaborations, and they still refuse to engage with black art on any meaningful level. Very cannibalistic, right? So that's what the tweet said, and that's what he liked it, right? This was not the right move because then it opened a can of worms on Tyler, right? It it brought up all old tweets and they are not good. I'm not even gonna read most of them. Like I'm not even gonna read any of them. I'm just gonna put them on the screen. Hopefully y'all can read. Like read that ish, right? But yeah, it opened up a can of worms for people to look at his old tweets and even his old photos and stuff like that. And now he is in like hot not hot water, but now people are saying like how do you expect people to respect black art when you hardly respected yourself as a black person and black art in general as well. Like the tweets he has discredits like Black History Month, trying to say, oh, why is it a separate month? Why do we have to have that and stuff like that? um some weird ish about children, how much he hates a black dude from Victorious. He using racial slurs that is not just for black people, for everyone else too. He did a lot of or said a lot of stuff, and people brought this stuff to his attention again to remind him that yeah, while your fan base does hate black music and black things and stuff like that, this is the fan base that you created. This is completely and utterly your responsibility and no one else's but yours. And so a lot of people have been getting his lashings on Twitter, and I kind of agree with what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying, hey, maybe if you just denounced that old self and stuff like that, maybe you will be able to cultivate a new fan base that can appreciate your music and the black music that you grew up with and that you love and stuff like that. There are people saying that since you never disputed, it's you always going to have this fan base and stuff like that, despite his actions showing that he's for black people and himself as a black man and stuff like that, and how much he has actually changed over the years. Him not denouncing it is actually probably what's the nail in the coffin for him on this. And this controversy is a lot to take in because I'm not a Tyler the Creator fan, by the way. I'm really not. I've never been a fan of his, but something about him always was really weird to me, and I didn't mind. I didn't mind his music at all. Like I listened to some songs. I still listen to some songs to this day, but for the most part, I've never been a huge fan to the point where I would actually go to his concert and watch him live and stuff like that. But yeah, I do think he does need to denounce that old self. I do think he needs to really set the record straight, not just in actions but in words. Let them know what you're about, let them know how you feel, let them know what you think and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure everything else will follow afterwards. You will cultivate the fans that you want to listen to your music because you know what your music about is about, and you know what you want your music to continue to be about. Now, in terms of him and talking about children and the way that he did in his tweets, it's very disgusting. I don't. A lot of these things are just things that I personally don't think anyone can really come back from because you're talking about people's children, and it's odd to me that there's a lot of people who do inappropriate stuff to or talk about inappropriate things in regards to kids. Um, I don't know what he's going to do about that, but as far as the rest of the other stuff, in terms of you know, um, apologizing for the racism and everything else, um, I believe that there is, some uh, there's a lot of change in him in terms of, like I said, actions. So yeah, that entire situation is a lot. So I really do hope that he does take some advice and just denounce it. I understand that it is going to be a little bit difficult to get people back on your side after seeing all that. or listening to your music after seeing all that. I understand that a lot of people are probably going to check out and stuff like that. I understand that there's probably going to be people who won't ever listen to you after that, like was thinking about giving you a chance and won't. I also understand that it's going to alienate your fan base, but if you want things to change, you're going to have to make the hard first step and make a change. Yep. All right. The last thing I do want to talk about is Miss Taylor Swift, because there's a lot to unpack with what's happening with her and her new album, The Life of a Showgirl. Why a lot of people dislike it, why a lot of people are saying that it's her worst album. There's some people who are Swifties, mind you. They are Swifties. Spoiler alert, they are Swifties that are saying that this is literally her worst piece of work and that she should go back to the studio and do something about that. Um so we're actually gonna get into it. So how I was introduced to this controversy. I was on TikTok. That's it. I didn't hear the album and I'm not going to listen to the album. I am going to be an uninformed listener for right now. Forever, actually. But I have read some of the lyrics in order to deliver this news to you guys and stuff like that. Because I just feel like I should still I don't want to listen to it. That's what I'm trying to get at, but I should still inform you guys of what's happening between her and the people who are saying that this album is not her best work or is literally her worst piece of work and stuff like that. So, Life of a Showgirl was released a couple weeks ago. In it, a lot of people have clocked a lot of racial undertones. That the next show thing she was talking about was very cringy. How she's the world's oldest teenager, and how her music has not matured since I wear short skirts, you wear t-shirts and stuff like that. Like not matured in a very adult way, I should say, because she's talking about mature topics, but talk about it in a way that a teenager would, is what I'm trying to say. So personally for me, right, where I stand with Taylor Swift is I don't really think about her that much. I liked a lot of her own music. I did. But as I got older, I kind of, the best way I could describe it is I grew out of Taylor Swift. I wasn't into her music like that. I barely was into her albums in the 2010s or anything else like that. Um yeah, she wasn't my cup of tea. So, when this came out, I was like, "Oh, people are actually mad about one of the albums she released. That's crazy." Um, so again, I didn't listen to it because I'm going to believe the words of the Swifties and who said that this is literally her worst piece of work, and not listen. But I did hear snippets of it on TikTok because I was scrolling to TikTok, and some people like to subject me to things like that. I don't know why. I follow people who do that to me, but some people like to subject me to things like that. And some of the things that people have been talking about in her videos are very alarming. So, one of the things that people talk about is racial undertones in her music, right? Um, and in particular, they're talking about the Opalite lyrics that, again, like I said, I haven't listened to it, but I am still of as well informed as I can be of a person. So her Opalite lyric says, I'm just gonna read the two that I have here, the two verses that says, but my mama, well, this is the chorus, I think. But my mama told me it's all right. You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night. But now the sky is opalite. And then it says, never made no one like you before. You had to make your own sunshine. But now the sky is opalite. And then it says, you couldn't understand it, why you felt alone. You were in it for real. She was in her phone and you were just a pose. So a lot of people speculate that this is about Travis Kelsey's ex. I believe her name is um Kayla Nicole. Now Kayla Nicole is a sports broadcaster and she is also a a, a influencer. She is a very gorgeous woman. But the reason why people say that this shades her, because she is always on her phone due to her being an influencer and stuff like that. And people seem to think that there are racial undertones because of the lyrics Onyx Night, Opalite and stuff like that. Basically, you were in the dark and now you're in the light, or whatever crap that freaking means. Um so a lot of people tend to, associate them with racial undertones, and I to an extent I kind of agree. Not even to an extent, I kind of agree. I agree because people have said and drawn the conclusion that a lot of the people that Taylor Swift ends up with, eventually after they leave her, they go to black women. And Travis Kelsey was a person whose type, because if you've seen all the women they date, all gorgeous women, um, they aren't Taylor Swifts. They're not blonde hair, blue eyes. They're black women. Um, and so a lot of people, I saw somebody say that her kind of being with him probably felt like to her that she broke a curse or whatever, because he didn't date her and then go to black women. He dated black women and went to her. And so a lot of people kind of associate her saying that as, or her coming for her, not coming for her, well, kind of, her saying those lyrics as her saying, haha, I did it. And to an extent I kind of agree. Also the lyrics in her other song, Eldest Daughter, that reads, I'm not a bad bee and this isn't savage. Now a lot of people say that this is kind of like talking, not talking, but it kind of pulls from Megan Thee Stallion's song Savage that she had a few years back, during 2020 and stuff like that. And other people have draw the parallel between Kayla Nicole and her working for the Savage X Fenty brand. If you did not know what that is, that's a lingerie brand by Rihanna. But it draws a parallel between her doing that and then Taylor Swift all of a sudden saying, I'm not a bad bee, and this isn't savage or whatever, kind of like a play on that or whatever. Or a play on Megan Thee Stallion's lyrics, I'm a baddie, I'm a bad. I think more so the Megan Thee Stallion lyrics than the other thing of with Kayla Nicole being an ambassador of Savage X Fenty. God dang, I said Xfinity. Um, and then in her other song called Wishless, she says something along the lines of, I just want you, have a couple kids, got the whole block looking like you. And a lot of people feel like those are also racial undertones, where you're one in a neighborhood of all white people, and you want to just be around people that look like you and stuff like that. So a lot of people have drawn some conclusions about her stance and her music and stuff like that, and a lot of people have drawn some parallels. There's other things that people have talked about within her music, or at least within this album, especially about Charlie XCX. They speculate that Charlie's song Sympathy is a Knife is allegedly about Taylor, and that Taylor's song Actually Romantic is speculated to be about Charlie XCX, even though both the women have said that their songs aren't nothing about each other and stuff like that. Other people talked about how she kind of sampled other artists, or like used the likeness in their song, like the Jonas Brothers and Jackson 5 and stuff like that. They said that the song Cool by the Jonas Brothers, well, the song Life of a Showgirl by Taylor Swift sounds like Cool by the Jonas Brothers, and the song Wood sounds like the Jackson 5's I Want You Back, right? And people say that it's a big deal because she allegedly sued or sent a cease and desist or pressured Olivia Rodrigo, however way you look at it, into giving her credits for Deja Vu, because Olivia Rodrigo was saying how much of an inspiration Taylor Swift was to her and stuff like that, how much she looks up to her and her music. And in her song Deja Vu, I think she admitted to her, like, kind of using the same melodic thing that, or whatever, was similar in Cruel Summer as the what you call it, the chorus in Cruel Summer, as the same thing in Deja Vu. The choruses are similar and stuff like that. So she since credited Taylor Swift on Deja Vu for that. A lot of people say that how could she, um pressure someone into doing that while simultaneously not doing it herself with the two groups that I just mentioned. Now, I did look up that whole because a lot of people saying that she sued Olivia Rodrigo and she sent a cease and desist. None of those are true from what I've saw in research that she didn't send a cease and desist. But like I said, Olivia Rodrigo did credit her for the chorus of Deja Vu sounding like Cruel Summer because it inevitably apparently did. This actually goes deeper. Outside of Olivia Rodrigo and Taylor Swift drama, a lot of people said that she's trying to be like Sabrina Carpenter but failing at it. A lot of people said that she, like I said in the beginning, the world's oldest teenager because in her song "Ruin the Friendship," she talks about prom and school and everything else like that. And everyone's just like, "You're 34 and you've been removed from school for years, girl. Let that go. Grow up," basically. And a lot of people talk about how she has pick me tendencies and stuff, and she hasn't again matured from she wears short skirts and I wear t-shirts. And then we have to talk about the opalite necklace merch and how she took that down, how a lot of people are saying that it kind of looked like um SS. I'm not in white supremacist groups, so I'm just gonna put a clip in explaining that like a little bit because I don't know what that means.
Swift just put out a necklace on her merch website promoting her newest single off her new album, The Life of a Showgirl, and that necklace, I'll upload a picture in just a second, came on TikTok, and I saw many Black female creators talking about the racial undertones that they heard in the song Opalite. And I am in the business of listening to Black women. I think they would know what a microaggression sounds like against them way better than I ever could. And so my conclusion was that maybe Swift did not mean to be cruel or racist in the song. However, she is in a position of power. She should have known better. She should have understood that people would take it that way. And that's unfortunate. And I decided I was not going to stream the album anymore, right? Okay, so then today she puts out this. And yeah, actually, you know what? I do think the song Opalite is completely intentionally racial. And I am sick. What the is this? What the this. Okay, so this is the necklace promoting the song. There's a lyric where they say that they're dancing and the lightning strikes, so hence the lightning. And then we've got an opal light, I guess, in the center. Okay, so here's my problem immediately. So these lightning bolts are not normal lightning bolts. They are specifically SS lightning bolts. Okay, it is not ambiguous. That is exactly what it is. And then if you'll look, there are 8 of them. Why does that matter? Because H is the 8th letter in the alphabet. Many circles, gangs will put 88, meaning Hitler. They'll put it in their bios. They'll tattoo it on their bodies. They'll put it on their motorcycles, their leather jackets. My dad was in a white supremacist gang. He had these tattooed on his body. It is why when you get a lightning bolt tattoo, if that's something you ever want, the tattoo artist is going to make sure, if they're a good artist, that they add an additional squiggle in there to make sure that there is no way that your lightning bolt tattoo could possibly be understood as an SS lightning bolt. I'm not reaching. The 88 thing is extremely common. That is extremely commonly known. That is an SS lightning bolt. You've never incorporated lightning bolts in your work before. Okay, and then we come down here, and that's an iron cross. That's a iron cross. And I think if the necklace itself was just a plain chain, then this would be fine. But it's not, and it is the sum of its parts, right? And so there are only 2 options here. Number 1, Swift's team and Swift herself, they put this out, and they genuinely just didn't know what they were doing, and it's a complete happenstance that it resembles any commonly used dog whistles, and that tells me that there is not a single Jewish person on her team anywhere, that there is not a single person with cultural sensitivity training, that there's not a single person that's ever opened up a history book on her team, right? So that's option number 1. Or option number 2, which is she knows exactly what this is, and that is what she decided to put out. What the
Overall, a lot of people have said that Taylor Swift has not evolved, like I said like 40 million times. And in response to all the criticisms and backlash that Taylor Swift is getting, her diehard fans decided to take to the internet and say that she could just be ignorant to a lot of these things. But a lot of people counter her by saying, well, you guys keep saying that she's a mastermind, that she purposely is calculating, and even in her merch and her music and the way she released her albums, everything else, like everything is so calculative. So she can't be calculating but also ignorant to these things, right? And so that's where that's at and stuff like that. overall, a lot of people have just said that her music, that she's just very mediocre. Her music hasn't been good ever for some people, and like they're saying that she's been riding that victim wave ever since Kanye got his dumb on stage in 2009 in VMAs and told her that she didn't deserve the award. Beyonce did. And her fans have been diabolical ever since. Like, they have harassed Kayla Nicole, Kelsey's, again, Travis Kelsey, her fiance's ex girlfriend. They have harassed Beyonce and stuff like that, combining her word with her name with the N word. Like, they've been incredibly racist, not letting her beat the allegations that she is also incredibly racist. So, good job with that. But that's all that I have. Let me know your thoughts on all of these. Like, let me know. Was DoorDash girl wrong for recording the guy on the couch and posting it? Do you think, or do you think she was in the right? Because, like I said, without evidence, people don't believe women anyway. How do you feel about the knitting drama between Sideshow and the knitting community? Do you think they are reaching, or do you think their concerns are valid? What do you think of the Tyler the Creator controversy? If you're a fan, does this change how you view him as an artist, or are you willing to forgive because she's showing that he's changed, or doesn't, or that he's changed, or would you rather he just addressed it and then continue to do the work to change and stuff like that? What do you think about the Taylor Swift drama? How do you feel about the Taylor Swift discourse? Do you think people are reaching? Do you think people are grasping at straws with her? Do you think people want to cancel her for no reason? Let me know your thoughts, comments, and concerns down below. Do not forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, and then like, I'm not sure if you can like on Spotify, but make sure to comment down below on Spotify as well. I'm pretty sure they have that. And make sure to follow if you want to hear more episodes like this, or if you want to hear any of our other episodes that we talk about movies and stuff like that. Go ahead and give that a listen. All right, that is it for me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful and lovely day. Hope you listen to the next episode. Bye.